Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and it is a great pleasure to introduce an all-star panel, and it is sponsored by RepairPal and our great friend, Art Shaw, and the title is Overcoming Objections for Required Maintenance, and I can think of nobody better than the folks who are on this panel, and in addition to Art Shaw of RepairPal, that includes Tully Williams from the Nilo Company up in Sacramento, California, Michael Barrich, who has made a huge name for himself at Murfreesboro Nissan and is now on to some new things we're going to hear about from Michael as well. And of course, Chris Kokonis over in downtown Toyota, downtown Los Angeles. So gentlemen, welcome to all of you. And I'll kind of get the conversation started, Tully, with you, and then I'll have everybody included here, of course. Tully, it's pretty obvious that factory or OEM preventative maintenance is a lot less expensive than repairs. And one of the big things that you always talk about is that repeat and referral business and building trust with customers. And now, Tully, we're hearing so much more about this word transparency in building that trust. So give us a little insight, Tully, on your thoughts on preventative maintenance.
You know, as we are truly in the repeat and referral business, and I think that when we're looking for validation, first came videos and pictures where the technician does a quality inspection and we have those pictures and video to show the customer truly you do need a cabin filter, air filter, tires, or brakes. But the next piece comes after that is that we're given the validation of the part that failed, but there's still a challenge of you're the dealer, you're always more money. And that is usually not the case. And this is where RepairPal comes into place and give us that third-party validation that your brakes are the market rate for a dealer using OEM trained, oh my God, not practicing on your automobile, but OEM trained technicians with OEM parts. And I think that gives the validation that we're looking for when customers are not sure what to do, because we are trying to build that trust with every customer every time they come in, because if we don't win repeat and referral business, we will not succeed as a dealership.
Tully, I have to ask you, over at the Nilo Company, 101 years in business, how many service advisors do you employ under the many rooftops that you have there?
So we have about 75. We have 10 rooftops. We have about 75 service advisors. And each store, is unique, but we do have luxury brands as our majority of our brands. So, we space them out a little bit, but, it doesn't matter if you have luxury brands or if you have, I would say Japanese imports or domestics. Customers are all the same. If you have a Porsche dealer or a Yugo, that's dating myself a little bit, is that the customer still wants that validation that they're getting a fair price. They don't want the cheapest price. They just want the fair price. They want to know that they're not being taken advantage of. And we as dealers have had a bad reputation in the 70s and 80s and 90s. And now we all realize that, if we want to be in that repeat and referral business, we need to make sure our customers trust us, because the service department is what keeps a dealership alive for 101 years, because we're building that trust. So then they do what? They tell their friends and family to buy their next car, which in turn gets serviced in our service department.
Michael, I know that you come from a very large dealership, again, with a lot of service advisors as well. Would you say that having that third-party validation is important for your service advisors in building trust and integrity and continuing that with the consumer?
Ted, I would say it's extremely important, not only for the advisors, but for the customers as well, because as Tully stated, everybody has the perception that the dealer is overpriced and least convenient. And I agree with him 100%. That's just not true. It's a fake perception that's been around forever. And Tully alluded to, I think, the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but really there's 2000s and then 2010, like 5 decades, we've done a horrible job taking care of customers from a dealership perspective in the industry. And I couldn't agree more with what Tully mentioned, that, the service department has to be that backbone to create referrals and get those people back as repeat customers. And that is the lifeline of a successful dealership. So utilizing RepairPal for just that transparency as a third-party validation, I think makes us credible with every one of our recommendations.
And Michael, you've been doing that for a while at the Nissan dealership. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Wow. Chris, over at Toyota, give us a little background on the importance of having that third-party tool, that validation for your service advisors.
Hey, Ted. It's huge. I mean, we're in a metro area and we have a lot of competition, some very, very, high performing locations, both dealerships and independents, and plenty of guests that need to have their vehicle serviced. And I think it's a real testament to, to what consumer behavior has shifted to in, since the 80s and 90s and even 2000s, with the inception of the Amazons and such, where, customers can go online and find out what something costs before they vote with their wallet. And, it's like, any guest who has a impending large repair or, something that impacts the second largest, investment that they'll probably ever make in their life. They don't want to feel like they're being taken, and having spent some time at the independents and the aftermarket, I can tell you that the margins are considerable, outside of the dealership network. And, we're bound to some different guidelines in franchise agreements, et cetera, to make sure we all color within the lines. And I don't think the customer perception necessarily aligns with that. So RepairPal is a fantastic tool, that helps bring everything full circle to say, hey, here's a national labor guide, and here's what the pricing structure looks like. And oh my goodness, you can get that at a major brand, and a lot of times have a better warranty. So it's fantastic for the customers just to give an additional option.
And Chris, you work with a great brand there in Toyota, as do all three of you gentlemen. But Chris, tell us, is what the OEM typically provides the dealership, is that enough, or is it important that the dealership has the option of a third party validation like RepairPal?
That is a great question, and I guess the best answer I can give to that is it's about the relationship. There are plenty of fantastic mechanics that are outside of an OE network, and they do a great job of fixing cars. So you can't take any of that away from them. The one thing that we have to work a little harder at on the dealership side of things is to offer that transparency and what benefits the guest really gets from coming to the dealership. And that's not always as well advertised as it possibly, could be. So, it's our responsibility to share that. And this is just an additional tool that gives us that, that good outbound communication.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Art, you put a great panel here together with Tully and with Michael and with Chris. And Art, you see it from both sides, because you see it from the mass merchandisers and the independents out there, as well as the dealers. Art, from your perspective, what are some of the advantages that you see that the dealer has got out there over what else is available in the market?
Yeah, consumers, as we're talking about, for them, it's a big purchase. It's something that needs attending to, whether it's required maintenance or a breakdown. And they're kind of, in their own mind, feeling pretty vulnerable. Like, I don't know what to expect. I don't know how to define who has great quality and who has fair prices. So as I see it from a consumer point of view, their buying factor is quality. It's actually not low cost. At the same point in time, they want clarity that they're being treated well and fair pricing, not lowest pricing, as was said here. And so we strive at RepairPal to look across the industry, whether it's independents or dealers, to find high quality, which is fairly embedded in the business system of dealers, in the requirements on dealers, and fair pricing. And in independents, there's a lot more variety on quality. Incredible. So we provide a guide to say who is high quality and comparable to a dealer. And that's a good choice. And dealers are also a good choice. They're both great choices. And we look for dealers that are going to meet the consumer's needs by providing that quality and also providing fair prices, not the lowest prices. Consumers actually aren't asking for the lowest prices. They're asking to be treated fairly.
And Art, I know when we put this panel together that we talked about having Tully Williams on the panel, who's been very popular here at the Fix Ops Roundtable. But early on in Tully's career, Art, Tully was an independent and he had his own shop. Okay, so I got to ask him about that a little bit because Tully, what do you see now, having done that for many, many years, and now having coming over to the dealer side? What do you see as some of the advantages that we've got working with the established OEMs and so on?
Well, as an independent, repeat and referral business is the only way you survive every day. And when you're an independent, what you don't have is you don't have the OEM backing and the OEM parts and the OEM training. And when you look at the difference between aftermarket, a quality aftermarket shop, and a quality dealer, the dealer will always win because of this, is that we have the OEM backing, the OEM warranty, and the OEM parts, and we don't practice on the car. We're actually factory trained on the car. And the difference to us stands apart. Now, we as dealerships got to make sure that we are playing and tell people that quality that we have over quality independence. I want to bash an independent. I've done it 14 years. But we have the advantage when it comes to those younger cars. I think when you get older cars like that, most dealers don't want to work on them because they're just, a pain, right? And, and that's a challenge that dealer can make. But we have the advantage. And we show those advantages by telling people we are at market rate. Like Art said, we can show them RepairPal that our brakes are blank. The aftermarket is blank. And oh, by the way, our warranty is not with Napa. Our warranty is with the OEM nationwide. Our brakes are brakes that came on your car when they were brand new, right? And those brakes will not wear. Where in aftermarket, you don't know if you're getting stones or rocks or bricks as brake pads. And I'm telling you, there is a difference, and that's where we can win that battle.
Michael, you have built and led the #1 Nissan dealership in the nation, and congratulations on all the success in putting that together. And I know that was not easy, okay? And talk to us a little bit about some of the qualities that you look for in service advisors to be able to overcome these objections and then to be able to provide a tool like RepairPal to help them.
Well, typically I don't hire service advisors that have dealership or previous automotive experience. I look for people that have the proper servant attitude, wants and desires to take care of customers and deliver a customer experience that's worth talking about. And they don't have to be knowledgeable. We can start them out on the express side and teach them the very basics, kind of like we're trying to teach our customers. Your vehicle is actually due for a 5,000-mile service instead of an oil change, or a 25,000-mile service instead of an oil change. And so we can educate the advisors so they understand the importance, and then educate the customer along the way. And once we get them seasoned, we can move them into the main side of our shop, which is career changing and life changing for a lot of people. The automotive industry, I think, is one of the best places in the world, really. There's two main constants in our business, and it's constant change and continuous education. And I think if you want the ability to continue to grow every single day, the automotive industry provides that opportunity for you. And I couldn't think of a better place to do what I've been doing for the last 30 years.
And Michael, I want to welcome you to the new world of being a consultant in the automotive industry. And I got to tell you from my experience, Art, that one of the best parts of working with service teams, Michael, and service advisors is that they love to grasp different ways to overcome objections, because they don't get a lot of that, and they don't get, Chris, enough of that training as well. Okay, I've heard that so commonly, from their OEMs and so on and so forth. So, Michael, to be able to overcome those objections, how important have you seen that, over the last 30 years? And I'm sure that's going to be a part of what you're going to be doing moving forward as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just about being consistent. I think it has to do with honesty, transparency, morally, ethically. I can continue down that road, but I think you just have to be honest with the customer, even when they don't want to hear it. because it feels like for the last 30 years I've been doing it, every chance we introduce a maintenance package to a customer that came in for an oil change, it puts up a wall, and there's a roadblock between the customer and the advisor. But truly, the advisor's position is to be committed to make sure that the customer understands what the service includes, what the benefits are, and if the customer says no, it's the customer's choice at the end of the day. But it's important to understand that the factory recommends this maintenance. It's not me. It's not one of my advisors. It's not my dealership. It's factory required maintenance, and we need to support that. So, as with any objection, I think what you have to do well is listen, and then you have to understand their position and where that objection is coming from. And then I think you need to respond appropriately with the same commitment and passion to every customer so they understand that value. And, truly at the end of the day, there's absolute great benefits to making sure that you maintain your vehicle to factory specs.
Wow.
And if you couldn't tell, I'm really excited about doing it every day and sharing that information with our customers.
I can tell that you all are. Yes, Mike, I love that. Chris, talk to us about it from your perspective, those overcoming objections for this. And Chris, how many service advisors at your location?
17.
Wow. And Michael, real quick, over at Nissan, how many have you had as well? Advisors?
We had 15.
Okay. So Chris, I'm sorry, come back to you.
No, it's a great tool. I think, going back to the trust and the relationship, I tell the service advisors, I kind of sound like a broken record when I'm having this conversation, but you have to be able to run into any guest that you've served at any point in time at the grocery store, and not have it, be a hostile encounter. It's your responsibility. Your sale and your consulting doesn't stop when they sign that, file a copy of the invoice and leave. They have to really understand and appreciate what was done, what your suggestions were. And it comes full circle with pictures, et cetera, and RepairPal, just another tool to be able to bond all of that together, right? So if you're talking about a clutch repair, well, yeah, any manual transmission ever exists, but any gasket or seal or anything that needs to be done, number one, you have to have the visual, you have to have the proof, you have to have the understanding, then you have to have the trust and the clarity of communication to know that if they choose to purchase it at your store today, if it's a red item or if it's a yellow item that they're bundling with another repair, then they're really getting a good value for their money, and they won't have buyer's remorse or second thoughts afterwards. And any maintenance plan, any of that kind of stuff that you're putting together, the customer has to see value in it. They have to realize that it's a good investment and it's a wise decision. And don't push stuff on them that they really could hold off on. You present it and you let them make a decision. People buy shoes most of the times before they have holes in the soles, right? But that's a guest decision ultimately. They have to choose what fits their needs best. Are they going to keep the car for 6 months or 6 years? And that's our responsibility to just share and communicate all of that. So I love it as an additional tool.
Art, you had the vision to bring this great platform to dealers, and talk to us a little bit about that. What prompted you to do that, and how did you? There's a lot of talk today about transparency. How did you have the foresight to see that was coming so far in advance? And now I hear so many people talking about transparency. Yet I think at RepairPal, you've really got the essence of that transparency with what you're doing.
Well, I got there because I'm old. I worked at Charles Schwab way back in the 90s. And at first I ran strategy, and then I launched their website, schwab.com. Maybe some of you use that. And it was all about an industry brokerage that had some issues around trust and was merging into an offline-online experience. And so while I didn't know about cars, I saw the exact same need here. We need an integrated online, offline experience. People are going to be looking on the web, whether it's purchasing a car or now servicing a car. We need trust. They're amazing. Look at these people on the panel. And if you're a consumer walking into any one of their dealerships, how do you know that it's truly Michael Barish and not some other person who might just be saying similar things but not delivering? How do you know? And so the internet is a very powerful vehicle, and we've tried to do it the right way. For 10 years, we've been providing guidance on fair pricing with, as Tully said from the beginning, OEM, MSRP on parts, average dealer labor rates. We toil very much to make sure that you're getting a fair dealer labor rate for the work, because we want people to get a great solution from a dealership at a fair price. But we can provide a unique value in distinguishing who really is fair priced and who is exceeding limits and for what a consumer would feel is being treated well. And even a billionaire doesn't want to overpay for something. So the number one buying factor is quality. It's not price. But still, and dealers deliver amazing quality and have great service. The attention to service in the dealership fixed ops world over the last 10 years has been phenomenal because of leaders like the folks on this panel. And yet the consumer doesn't know who's fair in pricing. And we try to bridge that gap for trust.
You're right. The consumer does not know. Maybe we assume they know because we're in the business. But, and going back to, I remember those Schwab commercials when you first started, to make things available to the consumer, and the one agent is talking in an office building, and they see a big banner that's unfurled across the way. And now here comes transparency to the car business, Tully. Tully, we saw it in the F&I. Your partner there, Dennis Gingrich, has talked to us about that before. And Tully, now we're seeing transparency in service pricing, in parts. Tully, do you think it's going to go away, or is that now what's coming in the wave of the future?
Oh, I think it's going to be even more stronger today. I think Art just touched on it a bit here, is that I think when you're talking about transparency, when you're talking about truly in the repeat and referral business, and you truly are in CSI, which stands for customer supplies income, but ultimately retention is a key number. But think about this. Does it start with your dealer? And does your dealer believe that we are truly in the repeat and referral business? And the culture at your store is this, to make sure we satisfy that customer, whatever it takes. If your dealer does not believe in it, then he will not push that down to the sales managers and the service and parts managers, which then does not go down to the technicians and the service advisors and the porters and the car washers. It starts at the top with the culture at your store to make sure that we're in for the long haul, not the short term. And two is that we are truly in that repeat referral business. And I think a lot of stores says that they are in that business, but how long have they lasted? Is there Yelps at 1, right? I mean, we're pretty mad when we're 4.5. What did we do wrong? We want to fix it today. And that starts with the culture of your store saying, we are all in to make sure that we are providing that. And what RepairPal does, it helps us in that model when your store believes. And now we have third-party validation that our pricing is the same pricing nationwide. As Art said, yes, people are not looking for low price. They just don't want to be ripped off. They want the quality, and that's where dealerships have that ability to do it.
And Tully, you just honed in on that other big word, culture, okay? And, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, there was not a lot of discussion around culture in a dealership. But would you say, in your opinion, a tool like RepairPal can also be very critical to establishing and maintaining that culture at the dealership level?
Oh, absolutely, because we're giving that third-party validation, right? We are realizing the reason we're going to spend money with RepairPal to show the customer is because we want to tell them that we are honest people. We want to tell them that we're not trying to rip anybody off. And I know sometimes it's challenging as dealerships have a bad reputation, but then Art comes in and says, here, I have a product that's going to help your customers realize that you are truly in the repeat and referral business and truly want to be in that marketplace. And you are not ripping people off, and you're doing a great service, and we are going to be a 5-star Yelper because we earned it. That's what it's all about.
Michael, I think Tully's going to give you a run for the money on that passion. Michael, you firsthand, and your team have been using RepairPal for quite a while. Share with us, maybe how it's used, how some of your advisors have used it in the past, and anything else that you think would be important at this point with all this talk about transparency and culture and so on.
Well, I think just overcoming the perception that the public has that dealers are more expensive and least convenient. And I think the unique part of being a dealer is we sold them the product. So when Tully mentions repeat and referral business, we should be able to keep their business as long as we're doing business honestly and ethically and competitively priced in our marketplace. We don't have to be the cheapest, but honoring the moral obligation of running a business ethically. I don't know that necessarily starts with my dealer principal. I think it starts with me, and then making sure my techs and my parts guys and my porters and my advisors and everybody in the building honors that. And that's what we bring to our customer. We're in the hospitality business. It's not just service anymore. And I think providing an experience worth talking about is worth the effort to make that connection with your customer, because that is the definition of the referral part of what Tully was mentioning. And I believe in exactly that philosophy.
So, Michael, and you're saying everybody obviously has to be on board.
100%.
Love it. Chris, what would you like to add to that?
Hospitality. Yeah, that's a great analogy. We are in the hospitality industry. And, I think one thing that's truly helped us is, this tool has allowed our BDC to help take the pressure off of the shopper phone call, right? Hey, let me call around and get the best feel that I get. Let me get quoted the lowest price. If we're able to offer the fact that we're just, we're putting it out there, it's right there. We're able to offer that transparency on the phone call to somebody who is in the business of just communicating with guests over the phone that hasn't been, a service consultant for years and years and years. And it offers a layperson the opportunity to get that same information as somebody who's been doing it for decades. I think that's huge in just offering that to every guest who calls in, right? Hey, I need to have this done on my car. Oh, I need to have this done on my car. Okay, Mr. Customer, what's the year, make, and model of your vehicle? May I have the service that you're looking to get performed, or whatever direction you want to take the phone call. It's great to have that tool that just allows any person to seamlessly transition. I think that's the best part of it. It takes the objection out of the sale. It offers, it offers a guest a little bit more of a no pressure experience when they're choosing to do business with us. And we just, we love that.
Chris, I see the light bulb coming on above all of our videos here. When you mentioned about BDC and over the phone, and another tool for overcoming objections for that BDC agent as well. Art, bring it home, because there's been some great points that are just come out just now.
Yeah. So you're seeing leaders who are talking about the desire to build a relationship, right? And a lasting relationship is built on trust. But how do you get someone to cross the bridge of a dealer is expensive or too expensive? How do you get that relationship established where you delight them in the hospitality business? We're here to help with that. Consumers are wary, let's just be honest, that even with required maintenance, which they know they need, should I build this relationship with this dealership? Right? Because it is a relationship, because it is ongoing, because it's not a one-time event. And we know that's where the profits come from. And that gap is what we're trying to help fill. We want consumers to know that dealers are fair priced if they're RepairPal certified. And as a result, build that relationship, make that contact, convert at the BDC, and then you can hear how hard people work to delight these customers, but you got to get them to cross that bridge. You got to get them into the experience of hospitality. And that's what we're here to help. Not everyone knows RepairPal. We understand that. But for a consumer to have a bridge that says there's a third party saying, not only is this OEM parts, not only is this factory trained technicians, but this is fair pricing. Come on in, build that relationship, get that required maintenance, and continue from there on in. And by the way, how many years are people going to be owning their cars now? Right?
That's right. Could be a little bit longer now, right? Yeah.
Talk about a relationship. Crossing that bridge to trust is more valuable than ever. And that's when these great leaders can then do their great work and delight customers with a hospitality mindset. But you got to get the consumers to see that. And they need some way, independent way, often, not always. They need an independent way of verifying, yeah, okay, I'm safe. Now let's build that relationship.
Art, I'm a dealer watching. I've seen you now at a number of Fixed Ops roundtables, and I've seen some very impressive panels that you've put together, including today. If I want to be a Tully Williams, a Michael Barrich, a Chris Kokonis, and I want to be more transparent and get into the game and be able to give my advisors and my BDC, Chris, right, the confidence. Art, how do I take the next steps to learn more about your platform at RepairPal and what it can do?
Well, it's going to be hard to be any of these fine gentlemen, but we're delighted to work with you. And please contact me, art@repairpal.com. You can get my phone number. It's scrolled by here many times, 650-387-0055. Really delighted and so happy to support the industry and building that trust with consumers.
Art, you got the right platform at the right time. So congratulations to you and RepairPal and your team for all that you're doing in the industry. I want to thank also today Tully Williams, Michael Barrich, and Chris Kokonis for being here today on the panel. Great information, all-star panel. Art did not disappoint, and Art, of course, thank you as well.
Thank you so much.
Everybody, Art Shaw and the panel from RepairPal here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.